and welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video and welcome to fixing a sewing fail. If you watched last week's video, I had a bit of a time of it. This is still not working for me. Basically, I had an idea in my mind about this beautiful velvet boho dress that I wanted to create. I used a pattern that I'd made before, I used a fabric that I loved, and it didn't work. I then tried to fix it and it still didn't work. I then tried to fix it again and it still didn't work. So I'm now at a point where I'm not feeling inspired by that dress enough that I want to fix it. So we're going to transform it into something completely different. We're going to take it apart and start again. So we are going to turn that fail of a dress into this gorgeous, gorgeous top. Well, it's actually a bodysuit, but I don't do bodysuits. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is a knit pattern by Vogue. It has this really beautiful off the shoulder crisscross detail. And then the back of the top, it goes straight across. And it's kind of gathered at the sides as well, which is really beautiful. I've made this twice now. The first version I made as per the original pattern, but I made it as like a fitted dress. But I found the neckband for me to be way too thick. There was too much volume on it. So when I made it the second time in a yellow jersey, I reduced the width of it and it looks so much better and fits so much better. I don't think it's got any gathering at all actually. I might have to go and grab that top for reference. I've got really small shoulders, so anything too much going on here does overwhelm me. So I'm really excited to get stuck into this one. It should be quick, it should be easy. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. So my mum has actually called dibs on the skirt of this dress. She really just wants to make it as a plain skirt, which I think is a really nice idea. So I'm just going to remove this skirt. There's loads and loads of fabric within the sleeves of this. I'm really pleased she wants this actually, because it's just going to reduce the waist element of it, which is so nice. This is actually so funny that I've cut out my sleeves and I've realised that I cut it the wrong way on the nap this side. So yeah, clearly this dress really wasn't meant to be at all. So I need to be a little bit more careful this time and make sure I am actually cutting them out the right way. I couldn't quite get the sleeves out of the sleeves that I've got already because they're quite a different shape at the top. However, I can get the bodices out of this because where I've made this before and I've shortened it, it fits really well. So we'll cut the bodices out of this and then I can use the leftover fabric that I have for the sleeves and the bands as well. Okay, let me show you how to reduce the width of this band if that's something that you want to do. So the best way that I do it is this part of the band is the bit that's got all the volume because you can see where the fold line is there. So I fold this bit in half to the fold line, open it back up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold using that fold line, because if we fold either of these side seams won't match up. We want to reduce the volume here, and I'm trying to do this without cutting the pattern. You can just cut the pattern if you want to reduce it. Fold it back over and then fold here to create another fold line, open it back up, and you should see at the sides that this is all now matching up quite nicely. And I want to tuck this little bit here in and then just go along with your ruler and make sure that that's straight. I can see by eye that mine's on the wonk, so I'm just going to straighten that up. That's pretty much bang on, and that's going to reduce 4 inches of volume. That will make that neckband a lot less ruched. Make sure when you go into the back you do exactly the same for the top piece of the back neckline, and make sure that the width that you reduce it by is the same, so that fold should be 2 inches to give you 4 inches less in total. I hope that makes sense. First thing we're going to do is sew at the side seams just to the markings that we made earlier. You want to leave the rest of your side seam open, otherwise you're not going to be able to get your neckband sewn into the side later and we'll have to unpick it all, which nobody wants to do. So just sew to those points right from the underarm to there on each side. We're then going to fold our sleeves right sides facing and sew those together. Okay, so this is the point where we attach our sleeves to our bodice. So you need to make sure you've got the sleeves the right way around. You want the lower part of the sleeve, when you fold it in half, to be attached to the front and the higher part to the back. You can see, obviously they all match up. So we're going right sides together, matching up at the side seams. I know we've not overlocked this side seam yet, but we will do that when we put everything together right at the end. Okay, the sleeves are on. This is looking really, really pretty and so romantic. I'm starting to get excited about this project again, but I'm trying not to get too excited just in case it all goes horribly wrong, because there's always a chance. So our next step is to do a little bit of gathering on this neckband. Now, because I've taken out so much of the width, we haven't actually got too much to gather at all. So I'm just going to do a slight bit in the middle. Okay, I'll just show you so it makes a little bit more sense. So this is the top part of the neckband, the bit that's going to be visible on the outside, which normally has loads and loads of gathering. We've obviously reduced the width, so we're going to add a little bit of gathering, but not very much. So I'm just marking the middle of this half of the neckband, this top half, so I can find the middle, and then I'll open it up, and then what I'm going to do is mark probably about that far, so 1.5 inches each side from the middle, and we'll just gather that little bit in instead of the whole thing. So I'm now going around and just gathering in all those bits we've just sewn. And then afterwards, I'll just go around and make sure that all the gathers are even, so everything's lining up nicely, and then we'll start attaching our neckband all together. Okay, so I've just pinned my neckband pieces, right sides together, back pieces in the middle. Make sure you leave both ends open because they're going into the side seams. We obviously don't want to attach those. And then just sew them and overlock them as normal. Okay, so the next stage is we are going to sew the neckband only on one end, right sides to right sides, to the mark that we made earlier. I completely forgot to make this mark, so I've just had to find my pattern piece. You may need to dig it out, but it's about halfway. So sew right sides to right sides, normal seam allowance. Once that's stitched, you're going to snip right up to that stitch line. Make sure you don't go through it just before. And that means we can then flip this out, and that seam is going to be concealed because this part here is going to be the piece that goes across the front of your top. So we now need to baste the neckband piece together just to make it easier to attach to the bodice. You'll have a little kind of L-shaped cornery bit from where we've sewn this end here and tucked it in. You're going to start from there as close to the edge here as possible, so that can be all tucked away nice and neatly, and then sew all the way around to the end. And you're putting this wrong sides together and folding it in half. Make sure you open up your seam allowance just to create a little bit less bulk, otherwise it makes it really, really bulky and you can't get it around your overlocker later on. So let's sew this together. So now it's time to attach our neckband to our bodice. This is the back of the bodice. We'll start here because it's a bit easier. Now these little marks that we made on the sleeves are where we're going to be putting our seams, basically your side seam. This is where you've got to concentrate. We need this bit with the gathers to flip to the outside when we turn this all right sides out. So you want that facing inside. So we're going to call that the right side of the neckband. So right side of the neckband goes to the wrong side of the bodice. Okay, so hopefully you can see this, but basically I've pinned all around the neckline up into the center dot. So these two edges are loose. So we're going to sew this all in place, and then we will get these fixed into place when we put the side seams together. So I've just turned the neckline out the right way, so we've got all our raw edges there. There's our neckband that's finished and the one that's not finished. So this one needs to obviously go underneath because we don't want to see that raw edge, and it will be completely concealed by this one when it all comes down. When I've made this before, the neckband was really high up and like kind of ruched together like this. It was a lot smaller and I didn't like how it sat. So what I tend to do is actually spread it out a little bit more, make it a bit thicker, and I found that sat a lot nicer. So I'm just going to flip this open, make sure you've got the right edge and your neckband's not twisted, and we can just pin this in place, and then I'm going to take it to my machine and using a really long stitch I'm going to baste that all in place and then give it a little try on. Before you pin or baste anything together, make sure that you baste the ends of your neckband together. I haven't done that, and the combination of velvet fabric sticking together, stupidly long nails, and that not being basted made that really fiddly. Unnecessarily so. But just to recap and show you, this is what I've done. I've just pinned the side seams together. My neckband is consumed in there, just underneath where we stitched to right at the beginning. I've got a really long stitch length on my machine, so if I need to move anything around or it's not comfortable, I can move it. I can't remember if I've said this or not, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I haven't stitched the neckband down at the front as per the instructions, because I like to make sure that everything fits well at the sides and is sitting right before I do any of that, and I do that literally right at the end. So let's sew these seams up and give it a try on. Guys, I think we've done it. I think we've fixed the sewing fail and it's a stunner. I'm obsessed with this. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. This was everything that I hoped this fabric would be. Dreamy, romantic, a little bit sexy. It is just perfect. And doesn't this scream Valentine's Day as well, which is so fun. I can't lie to you, it is a pain in the bum to get on and off because of the neckband rolling. So what we're going to do is we're going to baste it down in a few places. The first place I'd baste it down is here in the center, because this likes to move around all over the place. I would then do the same along here. You can do this by hand or on the machine. I find it easier to have it pinned while it's on me and then do it by hand. And then make sure you do it at least a couple of times across the back, because this is the one that really, really loves to roll up when you move your arms. I don't need to make any adjustments to this at all in terms of where it's sitting. I think that's perfect. So I'm going to take it back to the machine. I'm going to get these last bits finished. Let's get to the sewing machine. Let's finish off these sleeves and the hem, and we are done. It's a win. Yay. I'm so excited. Here is the final result. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. It was well worth the journey. I say well worth the journey. I could have done without the sewing fail actually. That was a big bruise to my ego, but definitely a big learning curve. This year I really want to try out new silhouettes and patterns and fabrics and things like that, and part of that journey is sometimes there are failures along the way and things don't work, but I think this is the most important part, is trying to fix those instead of just chucking things in the bin. And I'm glad I did that because I love this fabric and it would have been such a shame to waste it. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier on in the video or not, but I did actually cut the fabric against the nap this time to give it more of a black undertone rather than a blue. When I was watching the footage, it was coming up very blue, which doesn't work for my skin tone, and a lot of you in the comments mentioned that. So cutting it against the nap has definitely given it a better colour as well, which I think has really helped. I'm always pretty good at using colours that work with my skin tone and leaning into my own colour season and everything like that, but sometimes I fall in love with the fabric so much that I kind of kick that to the side. Let me know what you think of the result of the transformation down in the comments. I really hope you like it, and thank you so much for sticking with me through this journey. It was a roller coaster, that's for sure, but a win in the end, which was really great. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out like that, I must admit. If you've had fails that haven't worked out in the long run and you've had to ditch them completely, don't be disheartened, it happens to us all. I'm going to leave this video here now because we finally fixed this mess, and I'm going to see you in next week's video. Thank you so much for watching, have a great week, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.